Hello, hello. I am so excited to have you here. First and foremost, yes, I am sitting on my bedroom floor because that's one of the beautiful things about this job is you can take it where you want to go. You can do it wherever you want to do it. And in my case today, it's the only room in the house that is quiet and dog-free and kid-free. So we're rocking it on the bedroom floor. My name is Lauren Blackledge, and I am a health and fitness coach. And what I am here to tell you about in this very first clip of this coaching sneak peek is my story. What brought me here, how all the pieces kind of transpired, and hopefully allow you to get the information that you might want or be curious about to see if coaching might be something that is in your future or on your path. So I first want to explain I am a coach through Beachbody. I get to help and inspire women to use the tools that Beachbody provides. Those are the exact same tools that I used when I decided to, I like to say nicely, start my health and fitness journey two years ago, 2 years and 2 months. But let's be honest, I was trying to lose weight and I was trying to fit in jeans and I wanted to just feel better about myself. So in September of 2016, I reached out to a friend that I had seen post on Facebook about a group that she was running and that she had been losing weight over the past couple weeks and she wanted friends to do it with her too. And I was in this point in my life where I was feeling miserable. I had been to a wedding a couple months prior, one of my best friend's weddings, traveled all the way across the United States to be in this wedding, and afterwards, the pictures that were on display, I didn't recognize the person that I was seeing in those pictures. I saw a woman who was no longer the size that I kind of visualized or thought that I was, and I could see all of my unhealthy habits catching up with me. And I was really tired of being sick and tired. On top of it, I have stage 4 endometriosis, which in turn has led to infertility, which then led to the adoption of my amazing son. But that diagnosis lent me a lot of excuses. And so when I was feeling bad all the time, I would blame it on my endometriosis. And when I was feeling sick, I would blame it on my endometriosis. And I was really never looking within at my choices. And I was just blaming this icky illness, or not illness, but just situation that I had been dealt with. And so I jumped in and I decided that it was a decision that I didn't ponder on long because I was so desperate to find a solution. And so in September of 2016, I jumped into what we call a challenge group. And it's basically just a group of women who are using the same tools and receive all the same tools, which are workouts, meal plans, one of our meals. And I completely submerged myself in it. And I made the decision that I was going to at least try, because what's the worst thing that could happen? Hey, maybe I do lose the weight that I want to lose. Maybe I do start to feel better, and maybe I can fit in those jeans. And what ended up transpiring from that situation was so much more than I could ever imagine. So I ended up falling in love with the workouts because they gave me this sense of privacy, but yet allowed me to ease into it with my comfort level, because I have major gym anxiety. So to be able to do a workout from home, not have to worry about kind of putting myself on display, and then at the same time being able to not have to worry about childcare. I worked full time, I was a full-time teacher, and to be gone the whole day and then come home, I really just missed Xavier. I missed my son, and I didn't want to have to either take him with me and put him in childcare to go to the gym. And then because I didn't want to do that, I just ended up not. And I didn't exercise. And so you may be wondering, how in the world does this tie in with coaching? But what ended up happening was I fell so in love with the process. And my coach, who I joined in with, who was a dear friend, she could tell too. She could tell I was falling in love with taking care of myself. And by me falling in love with taking care of myself, that was beaming out of me and shining to everyone else. Because naturally, we live in times when we find something we enjoy, we share it with everyone else, don't we? And what ended up happening was she invited me to coach, and I told her no. I kind of laughed at her because I thought, how could I be a coach when there is no way that anyone would listen to me, when here I was 20 to 35 pounds overweight, and how could I help people when I alone was still struggling and pushing through those struggles every single day? So I told her no, and she let me be. And then I decided, I said to her, I don't want to coach, but can I still be in your challenge groups because I love this so much? And of course she said yes. And then month 2 came around and she asked me again. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, she's gonna ask me every single month and she's gonna ruin this for me because I don't wanna coach. I just wanna take care of myself. And sure enough, she did. But she invited me to this thing called a Coach Sneak Peek, which was just a private Facebook group where she was giving me the information that I'm kind of giving you right now, minus the Facebook group. And what she explained to me was how I essentially was already coaching because I was loving the workouts, I was loving the meal plans, and I was already sharing that with people, but Beachbody just wasn't paying me for it yet. And so once I realized that I could link up with Beachbody as a coach, since I was already using their tools, and I could get the tools that I was loving so much at a discount, I was like, okay, sign me up, let me do this. But in the back of my head, I thought, I'm not gonna help anyone. I'm just gonna grab the discount that I can get from being a coach. Well, 1 month went by, and naturally, I kept showing people, hey, this is what I'm doing. People kept seeing me be happier. They could see that the healthy vibes just running through my blood, and that started to trickle on to where people were like, hey, what is it you're doing? Can I do that too? So I then actually started to coach people. And I wasn't this perfect person. I wasn't this big before and after yet, but I was someone who loved what I was doing, and I loved being able to share that with others. And that's what coaching became for me, was an outlet where I got to share with others. And it gave me this purpose and joy. And so over time, I just kept sharing and people just kept joining. And what I then found was I had created this beautiful transformation, but then I started to help others receive a transformation. Not because I was perfect, not because I had all the information, but because I showed them it was possible. I was a 10-year teacher who was running on fumes. I was devoting my extra time in the evenings to my son and to my husband, and what comes along with teaching is usually a lot of work comes home with you too. So I had lesson plans and I had papers to grade, and I was in this realm of knowing I needed to add more in my life and take care of myself more. And so I went all in, and I'm not gonna go into the full details yet. I'll share those along because I don't want you to have a million videos to watch that are super long. But what ended up happening was I fell so madly in love with coaching while I was teaching that I started to think, could I do this full time? Because as I coached more and fell in love with it more, my income began to grow. So in the beginning, I started off receiving just a discount on the shakes that were making me feel better. And then I started being able to pay off groceries. And then I started to be able to pay our utilities. And all these things started adding up. And a lot of teachers, and I think not just teachers, I'm only speaking for teachers because that was where my experience was, but a lot of teachers were already working second jobs anyways. And I at that time had also had a side photography business that I had started to supplement for the low teaching income. And what I did first was I dropped that photography business because my Beachbody income through coaching was fulfilling that. And then over time, I started setting more and more goals, and I decided I was going to match my teaching income. And I pushed, and I helped, and I inspired, and I did just that. And so this last year, I was able to step away from teaching, and now I coach full time, and I teach part-time. I get to sub every now and then and get that little, bits and pieces of my joy for being in the classroom and my joy for being around kids and helping them. But now I have so much more control over my life. I get to make my hours. I get to take my son to school, and I get to pick him up. And when I pick him up, I am fulfilled. I had purpose within my day, and I'm not drained. I used to pick him up from class when he was in kindergarten after a day of teaching, and every single ounce of my body was drained, and I was pulling at fumes trying to be able to be the mom that I wanted to be in the evenings. And so my story goes from one end to another. I went from a full-time challenger just trying to fit in a pair of jeans to now a full-time coach that has created a life of purpose. And what's so beautiful is along that path from point A to point B, I hit so many points of coaching. I hit coaching as just a hobby to help a couple of friends, and then I coached as it was a part-time gig where I was doing it in the cracks of my day, and then now I'm at a place with coaching where I get to do it full-time. And what's so nice about this is coaching allows you to be and to choose which path you want to go down. Do you want to coach just to get a discount on the tools that you already are using, or maybe just going to start using? Or are you going to coach to maybe pay off your groceries, pay your student loans off? Or are you going to work to coach to maybe try to step away from your full-time job because maybe one day you want to stay home with your kids? Or maybe you're in a job right now where you're just not happy and you want something with purpose. But that's what this job has done for me so far. And I feel like it's my job to at least share and explain that with you. So this is the first video. I think I did it in 12 minutes. That's a record for me. If you have any questions, drop them below. I have a few other questions that I just want to hear your answers and thoughts maybe. But other than that, go on to the next video and I'll explain a little bit more about what my day looks like as a coach.